I'm just gonna start by introducing myself. Just let me know if my mic bugs out again or something, or Discord is weird, just because I don't want it not to work. Oh, my mom's home. Thank goodness. Okay, River, do you want to say hi? Okay, say hi.
Hi.
That's my sister. I was I was watching her for a little while. Um, okay, so River, do you want to go out and see Mom so she doesn't have to come in here? And yeah, you can bring your sandals. Okay. Okay, there we go. We should be good now. Welcome, welcome in. All right. So, hi everybody. I am Moon. I am finishing up high school and I'm just hoping to pursue playing university soccer and getting a degree for nursing. So, a little bit more about me. I really like cars and I really like Formula One. Anything related to motorsports, I really like it. Um, I've been playing Star Stable since around 2018 and really got into dressage around the quarantine time. I feel like a lot of people did that just because we didn't really have very much to do. I'm not on Star Stable very much around my club practices, but if I am, then you can normally spot me by my pink outfits. I love pink, probably my favorite color other than orange. If that's not obvious, literally everything in TDN is orange. Um, yeah. Anyway, that's basically all about me. So I'm gonna hand it off to. Do I say Leah? Is it just Leah?
Yeah, it's Leah.
Okay,
Hi
awesome.
guys. Okay. Hi guys. So I am Leah. I am currently I have a job, so I'm currently 21 and I work with horses. I love my horses and teaching and everything like that. So I guess that transcends into my SSO lifestyle right now. Um I've had this account for 10 years. It's quite old. And I got into SSD pretty much like what Moon was saying during quarantine. Just kind of playing around, nothing too serious. But now I have, I took a little break and then I came back and I started to work to understand how teams are because that was a new concept to me when I came back. So I started to get educated on team and everything like that since all I knew was clubs. So then Acinonyx became a thing. Um, AD has been around for almost a year. We're really excited. Next month will be our 1 year. And yeah, we are a dressage team. So we mostly participate in a lot of the SSD competitions. We just finished up our first season for our RR competitions. So that was an experience. We were all very willing to work with one another and everything like that. So that was kind of our introduction into this year. And currently, we're working on finishing our last NRR pretty much for this summer for Gauntlet. So, yeah, that's what's going on in AD right now. We also did an open server event. We try and keep everything a little bit team formulated where we can hang out with one another, but it's not so club oriented as well. So it's very lax, very uh, member focused, and all that fun stuff. So anyway, I guess I'll go right into the questions then. If nobody has anything about AD, okay. So for my first question, it says, "How do you deal with inactive members or people not being active in chats?" Kind of like what I said in the introduction here, we and AD really focus on writer member and understanding. So, if somebody's being inactive, of course we're going to go and reach out to them first. Um, you know, we really prioritize our members and their in real life and just their other activities that they have as well. Most of the members that we have are somewhat on the older side. We have a good variance, but, everyone's very communicative. They all are willing to work with us, usually if we reach out to them. And then From there, we offer like long term breaks just to make sure that obviously we don't like to, what's the word? We really don't want to see turnover. We like to keep our members and give them the time if they need it. So a lot of the members in AD have either been like recommendations from people or, members that have been with us for quite a while now. We don't get a lot of turnover, which is something that I value a lot. Because I think that that speaks volumes in the environment as well. So yeah, we just for inactivity, we value their thoughts, what's going on in their life. We talk to them and then we offer them a break if they need it. The system for the break is very understanding. Like I said, we're not going to tell somebody no. And we've never really told anybody that they can't go on break. Um, as long as we see that they're committed in the arena, we see no problem with them taking some time to themselves and everything like that. Um, However, sometimes members will continue to be inactive, and if that does happen, we have a warning system. So that I'll kind of go into when we talk about like the next questions about attendance and everything like that. But we do have a warn system. It's very lightly based, and I will say it takes quite a lot to get there. I'm a little bit of a, a nice guy when it comes to attendance. So I love all of my members, and I um will always be there for them in that sense. So, like I said, it's very lax, but we do have that warning system as well. Okay. So, how does AD track attendance? Yeah, this kind of flows into what I was saying before. So, we use a spreadsheet system. It's very good. We have all of the members are able to visualize it. They have a link to it, and they can track their own attendance throughout the as they're updated in real time. Um, we have two different sections in AD. So there's Cubs and there's Cheetahs. So the Cubs are our trial members. They are only expected to have two practices within the week, and the Cheetahs are expected to have three. Now, that being said, we give a lot of options. So um, although they'll get 1.4 attendance, it can be in the form of if they're supporting. So let's say if a cub wants to come and spectate and see one of our routines, we'll give them attendance for that. We're very big on getting everybody involved um, from the get go. So if Cub wants to come and support, they are totally welcome to. They get attendance for that. Cheetahs, when we go into our fundamental lessons, if they're part of a routine, obviously they're not required to attend the fundamentals, although we encourage it, but they will also be getting attendance for that as well. So, yeah. Um, in terms of points, so each attendance is 1 point, and then that'll go into our spreadsheet. We do also track the warnings on the spreadsheet. So if they have three unexcused, which is basically meaning that they didn't talk to somebody, or they didn't put an absence, or they don't have a hiatus, then they will be marked as unexcused. Um, if three of those happen, that will be where we kind of place a light warning. We go into a check in, and from there, that's how we deal with the inactivity as well. Okay. Here. Okay. How do I tell my high ranks to do something without coming across as bossy or controlling? So actually, this is a really good question, and I think a lot of people have this question. And when I read it, I was really excited to kind of give my take on it. Um, all of my staff members are people who are a part of the team, and they do stuff within the team. They're as much of a rider as anybody else within the team. If anything, they're just riders that want to give back to the team in a way. So they are always participating, they're integrated, they really get the whole feel for the thing. So they're not just staff. Um Going back to that member oriented thing. For me personally, I always try and make it like a group staff environment. So just whatever attitude you bring to the table, having a positive environment, being inclusive, so letting them know what's going on. Like I mean, Kay's here. She's like my right hand. She's helped me with so much with AD over the last like year. And, you know, it's just become such like a partnership in terms of like the relationship instead of like I own AD and I want you to do this. So I think if you ever go into the mindset of owning a club or owning a team or even just an environment like this, it's really important to understand who you're working with and then to actually be willing to work with them. And I feel like that's what has helped me the most with my staff team and why I feel so comfortable like going to them for certain situations or asking for their opinions because I trust their opinions just based on what the dynamic we formed and the trust that we've had there. Um, I think it's also really important that within my staff team, I always ask for suggestions. And honestly, I love criticism. So I'm always open for them to tell me if like something seems like I could be doing this better, and taking it in a positive light and actually like doing it. So taking that criticism and just making sure that it's to heart and that we're working off of each other for a better environment for the riders and presenting ourselves the best in the competitive um, environment there as well. Yeah, the community. Okay. How does AD handle rank ups? Is there a testing
Ooh.
system? So, um, AD does not have a testing system. We are very, like I said, structured but laid back in the sense that we don't do testing. We do offer fundamental lessons on the occasion. Lately, we've been so swamped with so many different routines that unfortunately, like nobody has had time to really get into that. But we do offer fundamental lessons when everyone is free and available. And these are for all the members, kind of what I was saying before. Obviously, they're geared towards our Cubs because they're trials, and we want to kind of give them that opportunity to understand how, number one, I teach, how what's expected within the routines, and what should be um, expected on their end as well. So we'll do, our fundamental lessons, and that's a way to get them to be integrated and comfortable within the routines that we do. Um, we have so our Cubs, they are a 1 month trial. Occasionally, this can go overtime. It won't go under. So we do the 1 month in order to really get a good feel for the Cubs that we have because our team is so selective. We only have 30 members, not including myself and my co-owner River, so my founder. Um, so we only have 30 members. We're currently full, and unfortunately, it's very selective in that sense. So we really want to make sure that the people that are in there are presenting them in the best light. And so that 1 month trial really gives us the opportunity to observe them, see their skill set, see if they're willing to work to be better in their skill set if they need to, and if they're understanding with the other members. Um, from there, the trial system goes to, and I guess this goes back to how I handle my higher ranks and my staff. Um, we congregate together, my staff and I, and we discuss the trials. We say, what did we see from this person, and how do we feel about this person, and did we see any improvement, or do we think we should message this person and have a conversation with them? Um, But and then we'll kind of go back and forth. We'll obviously track more of the structured things such as attendance. That's a big thing that we also value is just being active and involved. So we'll track their attendance. We'll look back on the sheets, um, and just their overall interaction with everybody within the server. There have been a couple occasions where we've decided to extend our trials just because from what we had seen from the members, that they had offered something that we liked and that we were looking for. So there are occasions where, it's not so regimented. If you have that 1 month, we'll kind of talk together and say, well, should we see this person giving a little bit more? And then the next month, and we'll offer for them to graduate with the next batch and go on from there. Um, so that's kind of our rank up system. Yeah, okay. Again, that activity, engagement, and socialization, that's what we value. So we look for that within all of our members. For the cheetahs, once you do graduate to an actual rider, we still obviously look for all of these qualities. It's not that, you passed your trial and that means that you're here. It means that we're still monitoring you. It's just over a more higher expectation since now this is the representation of AD in itself. Um, when you are a rider, you can apply for staff positions. Right now, none of them are open just because we have a full team. And it's not a structured like timeline. We don't do structured timelines necessarily for applications either because like I said, it's just kind of where we need it, when we need it, and who we think would be a good candidate. And for that, it seems to have worked out the best for us. But they can apply for staff positions or they can contact me in that sense if they're looking for more information. Um, okay. No applicants. So, why aren't people applying to my club or team? In my opinion, the first thing that I always look for, just based on from being in clubs and trying to understand how teams work and, just the environment and the community in a general sense, the way that different groups present themselves on social media, how they interact with the community, um, basically just keeping everything professional. I like this word because it can be used in the sense that, your social media is professional, right? So you have good, um, good artwork. You take somebody's commissions and you put the time in to commission them. You present yourself in that way. So, good artwork, a good layout for an OS. OSs are super important for supporter interaction as well and events. Um, that's the first thing that I always look for. I think it's also a good word to use in this sense because having your interaction with the community as professional and just having a great overall like vibe within the community, I think people really resonate with that. So I've heard this personally from a lot of my members, just people who I don't even really know, right? Coming and saying that, they love how AD runs and, they love the members in AD and just how we, again, present ourselves and how we focus on the members and everything like that. That everything is not so structured and it's still a good environment. So, like hearing that from me, from people that I don't personally know, I think that that really says to uh, me that that's good presentation of our team in general. Um, Again, this kind of comes from, focusing on most of our members being recommendation. Um, we do accept a lot of people outside of recommendation. However, it's kind of become this nice formulation of like people who we chose, right, as applicants and we met who we didn't know before have brought in their close friends or people that they know from other clubs and or that they might have known a little bit ago and they've said, "Hey, come apply to this team," or "Hey, like I really like how this works and I think that you'll enjoy it as well." So, having members that are really enjoying the environment, getting that first, and then presenting that through connections has been super, super beneficial for us as well. Um, yeah, and then again, open server events. I think that those are really important. We're planning on doing a lot more of those. I might have a couple of open lessons coming up just as the season's slowing down. July was pretty hectic, but again, engagement overall, participating in stuff outside. We participated in a routine event that was not through SSD, so getting involved that way, looking for partners and everything like that, just participating within the community and like interacting on posts and reposting and all of that fun stuff. So, yeah. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I really wanted to talk about. But do you guys have any questions about AD? I love talking about AD. It's like my little child. So, if you guys have any questions or want to hear anything else or had a question about anything I said or wanted further clarification. Okay. Yeah. What are practices like an AD lesson plan? Does it Okay, what does a typical weekly schedule look like? Okay, let me talk about the weekly schedule first. Okay, so it fluctuates. When we were okay, so right now we're in like the heat. We're just getting down over our competitive season. So we were doing for let's see, for Cubs, we were doing 2 practices a week, and the way that I had it was that I asked them, I said, "Would you guys like to focus on your fundamentals, or do we wanna try and get a little bit more into, like, the NRR, which is the non-rated division of SSD?" And I kind of sectioned it off, so they had a couple fundamental lessons, I had a good idea of the batch that we had accepted, and giving them this option, I think, really allowed them to feel more comfortable in the routine sense because a lot of them came from not doing routines and just doing like club stuff. Um, so what I would do is for the NRR, I would have 2 practices a week. These would be late, so we'd hold practices at 10 Eastern standard time just to make sure that there's no conflicts. A lot of the members enjoy this because they're able to feel comfortable doing their club events and then kind of have like a laid back, routine night with everyone else. Um, so yeah, 10 p.m., 2 times a week, working on the NRR routine. Occasionally, maybe a third if we had recordings or if it was, grind week. But yeah, for the NRR, we would do two, and those would run typically for an hour. For the RR, so like BOS and the labyrinth routine, we would do three. So 3 practices a week, same kind of schedule. Occasionally, we might do an hour and a half just because of those routines being a longer time frame and a little bit more heavy. Um, but yeah, 10 p.m. EST and 3 times a week. Recording gets a little hectic sometimes, but we do aim for the 5 week schedule. What are practices like? I kind of so I guess let me start from how we move through. I'm gonna go back to like the cub process, I suppose. Um, so with our last batch, our cubs came in, right? This is the last batch that we had accepted before we went into like recommendations only. But yeah, so for our last batch, our last official one, we have them come in, we do a lesson where everyone is welcome to come. It's kind of like that fundamental atmosphere, right? And I kind of introduce myself. I talk to them. I let them know just the general kind of like chores of the house, right? So, what they're expected to do, kind of what we're looking for them in their trial, if they have any questions, the attendance stuff that I talked to you guys about, the main gist of it. And then from there, we go into working on what I think is the core fundamental of routine work. So, stuff like we worked on anchor points, we worked on meters, we worked on um, a lot of gate transitions just to get them more familiar with one another. We also worked through, um, there was one practice I remember we had a lot of people, and we kind of sectioned them off into groups and had them work individually. And then as we kind of got more comfortable with one another, the last couple of practices, we put combinations together and just kind of worked through what we had been learning with the fundamentals. because it's surprising how many people, can do the arena work, but just maybe not understand 100% one thing because it was never told to them. And I think that that's kind of my main thing is that I want to make sure that when we are doing the routines, nobody's feeling like they're winging it, right? I want to make sure that everybody understands their alignment, everybody understands their gaps, everybody understands anchor points, and stuff like that, and how that can be seen in a way that is more adjustable instead of so regimented. I think a lot of just based off of what I've been presented to with riders, a lot of the community is very focused on if they mess up, that's it. There's no adjustment that they can do. And that's completely wrong because, yes, if you mess up in a routine, it might be seen. But the faster that you show that adjustability, then the easier it is to move on and make it kind of glazed over and work through, kind of like a dancer would, right? Because at the end of the day, that's kind of what we're doing, right? Um, yeah. And then, working on combinations, kind of, I take the skill set of what I think the riders have and work at that pace. I don't work at a specific pace, like with like a curriculum. I have general ideas listed that I like to touch on and kind of go from. But I wouldn't say that like this day we do this and this group has to do this and so on and so forth. It's more just adaptability to whatever riders I'm presented and working to better their skills in a way that is beneficial to them. Oh no, yeah, yeah, I don't judge you guys. I might laugh at you a little bit, but then I'll say it like 10 different times, 10 different ways. The biggest thing that I get asked, I think, well, not maybe not the biggest thing. The biggest thing that I get asked is how to pronounce AD. I will say that is the biggest thing that I get asked. However, Acinonyx. Yeah, Acinonyx dressage. But one of the main points that I always get asked is like, what level am I supposed to be to apply? Like where should I be in my comfortability in the arena in order to feel confident when I am with this group? And it's such a hard thing to pinpoint because going like based off of a dictionary and stuff like that when we don't necessarily promote that within AD, we require the fundamentals, right? We require you to see that there's adjustability needed, and obviously you need a baseline, like you need to understand what revolves are, you need to understand how to transition in curls and so on and so forth, but it's not like memorization based, I suppose. So for me, I always tell people that if you don't understand what a what's a good one if you don't know what dribble is, right, that's okay. If you understand the concepts behind it, I can explain it to you and you can implement it. I think we were practicing last night for the gauntlet routine. And I said to two of my members, I said, guys, we're gonna go back to using some words. We're gonna use combo. And I explained it to them for 2 seconds, but I mean I'm sure they already knew it, but because it's such a basic one. But that's just a good example. Because I don't really use that terminology with them. It's a lot more like arena points and meters and curvature and maybe we'll say like ribbon or fish, but those are like the main kind of things that we talk about and curlovers. So just to say like that there's like a specific level you have to be, I don't feel comfortable like saying that. It's more just your adaptability and your knowledge in that other aspect. Yeah, I think I think that answers both of your questions. Let me talk about because that's more the lesson plan. When we go into actual routines, like I said, I try and give the best amount of time that I can for members to feel like they're actually gaining knowledge, like in a more like classroom setting. However, within the routine, I will explain stuff in the sense that like it's not taking away from the other members. So if there is a time where say a member is having a little bit extra struggle with a specific section in the routine, we have a ticket system where they can schedule privates and everything like that, so then I can kind of work with them one on one. So we promote them to do that, in the sense that like the routines just to keep everything flowing since everything needs to be added quickly and it's faster paced and everything like that, especially since it's late sometimes. So my members get cranky when 11:01 happens. But yes, they do. No, they're good sports. The problem is that 11:01 happens and then I talk for 10 minutes, so they know that they have to start finishing up the routine at like 10:55 so then they can leave by 11:05. But yeah, so that's what I try and get people to do if they're really feeling unsure about a specific part in a routine just to keep the flow. Yeah, we're always like, Leah. Yeah. I'm like, do you guys want to do it one more time? They're like, nope, because then you're gonna talk for another 10 minutes. And that is not what we want. Because then I go into like talking about the routine and like what my visions are, and they're all like sleeping. So yeah. Are there any other questions or anything that you guys want to know? I see other people joining. Is Finn here? Oh my god, it's Finn. Hi, Finn. Guys, I could yap about AD all day, so um yeah, if you guys want to hear more about AD or just in general, a great yap sesh. I am a great yapper. Glaze the staff. No, I don't even have to glaze the staff. You guys are awesome. Guys, I guess we can go back to the staff question. Because Kay wants to glaze her position. um, yeah, I love my staff. I think this goes back to really just the focusing on like rider what's the word? Like just valuing writers as an individual. So, focusing on them in the sense that like seeing their potential and really aiding it and bringing it to life in whatever aspect they want. So, a lot of like my staff were writers first, and they still are writers for me. And, they show to me every day that they're active and that they're, kind of like my go-tos, right? So like we have a registration testing for SSD coming up, which is really exciting. And a lot of my staff members are in there because I know that they're reliable and I know that they have the qualities that I look for within the team and everything like that. I would never add um what's the word? I would never add like a rider into the team if I didn't feel like they had those qualities. um and that's again kind of goes into the selective part of it. I feel like we're all very much like writers that want to just have a good time and be serious about it in the sense that we want to do well and we want to have the commitment and we want the structure, but we want it to also have a sense of understanding and not be so um like role based and everything like that. So if members are telling me stuff with like feedback and forms like that, or reaching out to me or giving me recommendations, I'm not going to disregard that just because I'm the owner. I'm going to utilize that and make sure that we're working together. So, that inclusion of my staff and how, Kay always helps me with all the Discord lingo and does the server for me because I don't know how to do that. Yeah, that's all stuff that like, you know. Yeah, one of our members did come up with the theme for BOS. Yeah, I try and put out I guess we can talk about that too. You guys are sparking my brain. So before every routine, as long as the schedule works out, what we'll do is I'll put out So, okay, wait, let me restart. I guess we should start with the fact that since we do have 30 members, everybody is welcome to apply for participation within whatever routine we are deciding to do. Um, so for like BOS, right? We I put out a form, and whoever knows that they can be committed to the deadline of BOS is welcome to apply. What that means is that I put out the timeline, I put out the requirements and everything like that, and then they just fill out their name. They tell me whether or not they feel like they can be committed as a main rider or as an alternate, and then from there they like sign up essentially for the routine. Um, if I have members that know that they're not going to be committed to that timeline, um, they're either encouraged to apply as like an alternate or just kind of skip out and sit for this routine. And that attendance isn't judged upon them because, they wouldn't be active. So just taking who would be beneficial in the routine and committed and consistent and working with who kind of understands that that is there. So anyways, so they have that option. They can decide to do however many routines they want or however many little. It kind of just goes based off of the rider. I have one rider that's been in pretty much every single routine that we have offered, and we have done all of the routines from SSD this year so far. Besides one, I think. So like they've been in Prankpalooza, they've been in BOS, they've been in Gauntlet, they've been in Labyrinth. So it's kind of like whatever anybody wants to do. It's really focused towards rider individuality in that sense as well. Um, that being said, we don't like if we don't see the activity, it's going to be flagged. So we do say like you can do all of this, but if you're not doing anything, then it's going to be something that's considered as well. Um, what else? Oh yeah, and then in that form, they're given the option. I put the whole rundown like word for word from SSD, just a little short kind of diagram there. And they're given the option to submit their ideas. So I read through them. I kind of let their recommendations kind of aid my flow as well, and then like I'll kind of reach out and talk to them. And like this BOS theme was a little bit out of my ballpark. It was a game that I wasn't familiar with. I didn't know the game, but I really liked the concept, and I thought it fit well with the general like theme for SSD and just how the districts were, and I thought it was really different. I really liked it. And so I reached out to the member and I said, "Hey, like can we sit in a call and can we talk about this? Like I want to use your theme, but I need to know a little bit more about this. Like do you have any resources that I can research on?" Stuff like that. So I really try and make sure that everything is heard from every end and kind of implemented. And I think it's good, right? Like if you had a theme that you really wanted to do and you were passionate about it, seeing that came to life and is used in such a important sense, right? Especially for like a rated comp is something that I want the members to feel they're contributing to. And I think that's why too, like the role situation, like there's not just an AD, it's not just about being like a leader or being somebody who like hosts for us or, does all of that like nitty-gritty stuff. It's also about being a participant and giving your ideas and your experiences in a way that will aid the team as a whole. Um, so yeah, I really try and hear everybody, and I think that all of the members there know that I'm always listening. So I'm definitely very happy with that relationship there. Yeah, they can definitely be involved. hmm I think it's really up to the individual. It's up to the rider themselves how much they want to be involved. I have members who come and they're very active and they ride, but maybe they don't communicate as much, which is understandable. It's a team. You know, uh stuff like that. So, I think that like you can kind of take the environment and either use it excessively or still be meeting the requirements and still get a good feel of it while not feeling pressured to be so social as well. Oh, muted. Okay. Sorry guys. Going back and forth. Um what do you look for in applications? I know a lot of teams and clubs say a lot of details drama free. Do you have anything else that you could help for example as a club owner who has yet to create applications? Okay. um, so our application process is something that I feel like has made AD kind of what it is, right? So when we get applicants, we really look to see their dedication to their actual responses. So what are they presenting in the sense that their core is? What do they see themselves getting from AD? What do they know anybody in AD? Is it something that, you know, is a name in the past that might have been a little bit unsure? We really go back and forth and kind of see and compare our different options for sure. Um, but yeah, if we have a applicant who we don't see a lot of. Oh, there you go, Cherry. Yeah, we're in here. If we have an applicant that it seems, the application was good, but it's just not like very explanatory or it's just answering with like a couple sentences. Unfortunately, it probably won't be considered. And the only reason is because there's usually about 10 other applications that have so much detail and so much just extra information that it's really hard to consider the applications that don't put the time to give that. Um, Now, I'm not saying I want to read a novel in your life. However, yeah, we have a lot of applications that come through. I think the average for the groups off the top of my head is so we usually accept in batches of like max 5 or 6. We don't usually accept more than 5. Um, but we get pretty much like 20 or so applications per like batch when they're officially opened. So it's really hard to narrow it down and it just comes down to that yeah, it's really yeah, Anna and Kay both know we go through it. We'll be sitting in like call or like in our staff chat and we're like, guys, like what about number 109? And like, well, but this one has this and this one has this. And we'll go back and forth for like, yeah, for hours and days and everything like that. It's just crazy because we really want to like dissect and make sure that we're getting the best candidates for the team. Again, because we don't want turnover, right? We want people to stay. Since it is a team, we do want people to value it and we want people to feel like there's no reason for them to kind of move on and come back or all of that nitty gritty. Number 109. I wonder who number 109 is. Oh, thank you. I try. Sometimes I ramble. Actually, all of the time I ramble. However, I do try and get my point across in the end. Let me go back to your question and see a lot of team details. Help me with an example. Did you have any other questions about your like did you want me to answer anything about that question or did you feel like that was pretty much what you were asking? Yeah, the application process. Part of me is yeah, cuz we have Max member now, so um so it's a little bit relieving that we're on recommendation only at this time. But applications should open back in the fall. So 44 minutes. Oh no. I can stop yapping. Don't worry. No, your megabyte limit is cooked. Ah. What are some teams and clubs that you look up to? Hmm. So I've done a lot of like individual research on like routine. I don't know that trying to think. I feel like AD is very like I base it on my job, if that makes sense. I don't know if this is gonna make sense. So I try and take what I know from my environment at like where I work and everything like that. And I feel like I try to make AD something for myself. So, looking up to like teams and stuff like that, yes. Like I like and I value the stuff that they've presented. Like there's a lot of routines that I really enjoyed watching when I was doing a lot of research. Um there's a lot of like going back to just the organization of like how they present themselves socially. I really take inspiration from that. Like a lot of our it's like PGG, which is K's club. That's Pink Girls Girls, and I absolutely am obsessed with the way that they have all of their graphics and everything like that. Night Heroes is the same thing. All of this, the fun like art stuff and everything like that, like taking inspiration in that sense, yes. Taking inspiration from the art that they present through the routines, yes. Um, but again, it's kind of like back and forth. My main like structurally inspiration stuff is based on my own experiences, I would say just in my job because I am a trainer for horses and for people. So just working in that kind of environment and knowing how that works and just being a teacher and being somebody who is actively teaching horses and people and has worked with people for since I could remember, I think that that really was where my inspiration came from. Um, that being said, I also had a lot of staff experience, like, outside of the team. So before, when I got involved into, like, SSD and just clubs in general, I was really young, and so I kind of grew up needing to know how to be organized and how to deal with people and how to structure things just because I was always put into staff positions somehow. So between that and then just my actual job and again just taking inspiration from the stuff that's presented through other teams, that's what I would say was my main like look up to moments. um have I implemented anything? I have implemented stuff. So I think you explained that perfectly to me too. Yes. Yep, taking from my job, yeah. I'm very consistent in how I treat like, how I teach online and how I teach in, like, real life. Yeah. I think, also what I was gonna say, I have taken inspiration so I am a part of Night Heroes, and I, as myself, have not been able to really be, like, involved in anything, like, in the arena besides, like, the occasional, like, line dressage and everything like that when I was back in the past, like, year or so after taking a break. I kind of tried when I came back to, like, focus on myself and say that I wasn't gonna let myself go into staff roles, but we all know how that works. So, anyway, I ended up not really being, able to get that experience in the arena that I had wanted to. And then I joined Night Heroes and I was able to. And being a part of that program really helps me explain things to my riders as well in the teaching sense because when you're actively doing something and you're riding in the SSD arena and doing stuff and being adjustable in your own sense, it goes back to experiences. So you can take that experience and you can say like, listen, like this works for me and if this works for you as well, then that's really really good. Because you can do and talk about the mechanics of the game and you can say like, okay, well you have to do this in order to make this work or this alignment you need to be back hooves to front hooves for this and you need to be inside of this person for this. But if you're not actually riding it, you don't know that that's, you know, that you don't know why. Yeah, exactly. You don't understand like the actual concept of it. So again, kind of implementing what I'm doing into my actual team has helped a lot. I think my biggest example, and I think a lot of the people who are in AD now that are here can kind of say it as well. The anchor points, I had a whole lesson with a couple of my like instructor staff, and then also with like a whole like lesson plan with AD for fundamentals on anchor points and explaining canter keyholes for anchor points. Just taking a different concept and kind of explaining to them how they can be more consistent. That was one of like the big like wow moments for them because they were like, "Oh my god, like I don't have to end up on the other side of the line every single time I go into a keyhole." In the canter, even though I'm going at a faster gate. And doing that and just getting more comfortable with the gates and not just trotting or walking. Another example is like revolves. I think the biggest headache for me when I was instructing in like line dressage clubs was that nobody could get revolves or slants like 100%. And obviously, there's like so many different factors. This game is a little bit questionable sometimes. But again, going back to adjustability. So there is a way that you can make it where um, you can be adjustable and make it looks like a little bit smoother than you would think instead of just holding down your key or again feeling regimented to one movement. So yeah, just those are kind of examples of stuff that I've implemented into AD from my own kind of personal experience um, as well. I'm really loving the balance I'm getting. A well balanced diet, if I dare say so myself. um, at the edge of my seat. Yeah, the dressage theory. Yeah, there's a lot of theory and stuff like that that I've taken and inspiration from for sure. The nice part is that it works. I think it's one thing to want to try and implement something, but when you see members, just as an instructor as well, when you see members start to understand it, and really like feel like, oh wow, like I did not know that, like that makes so much sense now, thank you, or like even like gate hops and everything like that, just different ways to be adjustable and to make it where our routines are more seamless and our riders feel more confident. That's really important to me. um, and it also, in a way, makes our routines run a lot faster and become a lot more fluid. So, are your members really proactive in experimenting with stuff like those contents, like in your posts? I think so. I mean, you guys would know when you guys ride. I feel like that. Are you asking like in the routines and stuff? Are they like using it, utilizing it? If so, if that's what you're asking, then yes. Okay. Yeah, I would say definitely. That's kind of what I was saying before. Like going over a couple of those lessons and just having them really understand the concepts behind it before we actually like did a combination with it or actually formulate a routine with it. Like I've seen progression with a lot of members for sure. Bro lied. Okay. Bro is lying. Yeah, I do think it's really important. We had a whole like I said, going back to that group where that practice where we split into groups. We had a whole day where we were working on anchor points, and I think it really like was very beneficial for everybody. And I could see the difference when we actually were in the arena working through um different routines and such. And even with the meters and everything like that, as we've expanded out and kind of work towards like arena points and everything, it's really helped them as well. So fundamentals, guys, makes everyone have less of a headache for sure. What do you think is a better way to get fundamentals? Um, I think it's okay. This is like my personal opinion, I suppose. Um, I think that fundamentals, they need to, whoever is implementing them needs to want to have that mindset and present that in the arena. So like for me, I've always wanted it to be where people are feeling comfortable in what they're doing and how they're doing it. And um if there was ever a time where I was unsure of how to explain something, it always just made it me feel like really um like upset, right? Because I couldn't like say to the member, well, you're doing what the textbook says, but I'm not sure how to tell you differently. So I think like it comes from the individual like instructor and the team as well. So like if that team wants to implement that and if they want to see that in their routines, then they'll find a way to figure it out or get the resources or because that's what I did, right? Like I've done so much research on everything to make sure my members are or my riders are feeling comfortable, that they're adjustable, that they're, working with one another instead of working individually because a lot of like move theory is very individual. Um so yeah, I think it stems from the original curriculum. Riders only know what you do. Wait, sorry. Just I'm becoming dyslexic. Hold on. Riders only know what you know completely down to the bone. Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah. I mean, I think okay, like how do you feel about that? Yeah, the way that sounds. Okay, stop. Um, like do you feel like as a rider, like based on some of the stuff that we've implemented, it's become more fluid and more understanding for you in the arena? I guess that goes for
I can
anybody who's
say
left in here.
like are you talking about like stuff that you taught on day 1 and then it's like day 30 and they already know it? Like that?
No,
What are you
no.
talking about? I don't get
I
it.
more meant like okay, it's okay. Anna? Where's Anna?
Oh.
Uh, well,
Nobody
no,
gets
I was
you.
just okay. I was just asking if you felt like because Addison is asking like if after we've like talked about kind of the fundamental stuff, if it's helped you like in the routine and if you feel like you've utilized it in other avenues and stuff like that. Like actually
Yeah.
implemented it.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, like gaps and stuff.
Yeah, and anchor points and just routine work, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
I'm a
Kay.
pro now. I'm a pro.
Somebody mute Kay.
Okay, sorry.
No, I love you, Kay. 100%. I also take something on what you use. Yeah. I know that like I've had people actually reach out to me as well. Like in the team, like okay, so I have a lot of club owners in the team as well. That's kind of the nice thing that I enjoy with team atmosphere is that like you can kind of get everything and all the connections everywhere. So I have a lot of club owners or like instructors that have messaged me and have been like, "Hey, like, do you think like can you explain this a little bit or like how would you do this so that I can utilize it here?" Um, is Finn still here? No, Finn's not here. Like, I have a club owner who's actually one of my leaders, and she's reached out to me and said like, hey, like I really want to start working on this, like routines and like doing more within the arena and move a little bit away from like just doing like such move theory stuff. How do you suggest I take what I've learned in AD and implement it for them? So I think that kind of goes back to Addison too. Like the people who want to do it will do it. So like by me taking the knowledge that I'm gaining from all of these different places and giving it to my team, um it's kind of moved to where now other people are thinking, well, I really like how this is done too. And maybe this will help my riders, and maybe this will help us work better as a team or as a club and help us kind of work in more unity. Talk forever about AD. I will talk forever about AD. Oh, I love AD. I love everyone in AD. I think you need to understand certain ways of writing, methods, anchor points. Yes, of course. Um, More flow. Yeah, that's what I just like, the unity and the flow. Um, Line work is so much more improvement learning and fundamentals. Yeah, I will say we don't really work on line dressage in AD. If we do, it's kind of just when we're playing around and we're doing like recordings and stuff because that's fun. Um, but I will say, for somebody who doesn't like, obviously, I'm not a club, right? We're a team. So these are people who are in clubs, and I can understand how they work in the arena, but only to like a certain level. So I'm not seeing them perform line dressage because that's not what we do. But I will say very confidently that taking the fundamental like aspect and doing the routines for the once in a blue moon that we do line dressage, it looks really good, guys. Like we don't do line dressage very often, but when we do it, like everyone leaves me speechless, and it's kind of just like I think what Kat was saying, like a testimony to like implementing fundamentals and then taking it and letting them kind of work and be like proactive in routines will just kind of make everything else and every other theory a lot easier for the riders as well. So, yeah. I do think that that's a good point. And I've seen it for sure. And firsthand. Yeah, because like I said, I get time with these writers, but I don't get to see certain aspects of how they have skills in other ways. I just see them from what I ask. So, meter points and arena and everything like that. It's more of a vast aspect instead of so move and memorization based. So I have no clue what half of the members do in terms of that. But I do know how they work with one another very confidently. I will say that. Okay. Guys, is the yap sesh over? Question mark?
I don't know if anybody has any more questions, and you should get them in now.
Yeah. Ask me now, or my DMs are always open. So if you guys ever want to talk, I'm, like I said, very open to communication and working with the community. I think that that's how everybody is most beneficial. So don't be afraid to reach out.
This was an amazing podcast. This was awesome. I learned so much about
Oh,
you guys, and
yeah, you know
just
the ins and outs now.
yeah.
Kay. Kay is like a little unhinged. Kay, calm down. But she balances out my calm. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? That
I
is
think
true,
we
Kay.
could.
I think we're pretty
The
good. Yeah.
Yeah, the open server is so pretty though. I know that Kay did it, but like
Oh,
all
the
the banners
OS?
and everything. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
yeah. I love okay, little sorry, little drop on that. The person who did our all of our artwork, absolutely phenomenal. He is actually I think he's a on the German servers. But I went through such like this kind of just goes into like going to such lengths to find like the perfect like candidates for everything. Like I went through so many different Instagrams. I was talking to Kay and all of my staff. I was like, guys, what do we think about this? Like, do you have any connections to people that you think would do good? I want a commission, but I want it to be like it had to be like a specific vision. And I think that he worked really well with us, and he took everything that like I wanted and just made it like 10 times better. So I will always push support to him. He did a really amazing job. Yeah, it was so worth it. All of it. Yeah, we did tease. Yes, we did. I said, "Guys, we don't worry, he's cooking." And he did. So, but thank you for the compliment. I can't take any of the credit for anything with the open server besides finding the commission artist, but
It's so pretty. But yeah, this was overall such a great podcast. It was amazing. Thank you so much for doing this. This is our second one that's like ran over an hour, but it was
no, I
awesome.
love
So
talking.
I know it's like so fun.
I'll always talk about AD.
Mhm. I don't blame you. It's really cool.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the OS also, yeah, I mean Kay sent it, but I think that there's that channel still up with our name and it has literally anything and everything you could ever want to know in there. So if you want to take a look, there's that. It has all of our links, all of our information. I tried to make it where everything was there for you guys to see. So, yeah, if you need anything, that's there.
Well, I think I'm gonna head out. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm pretty sick, so I might just go and have a nap or just go to sleep. So,
Oh, yeah, go rest. Thank you for
yeah.
this opportunity. I'm gonna go because I have a lesson in 23 minutes, guys, so I gotta go.
Yay! Have
um,
fun.
yeah, all right. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming. Thank you for all your questions.